You're listening to the Bella Italy podcast.
If you are tagging on and you've been already a season or two with us, you know that in season 4, we had this underlying theme of traveling well. We're building on that and building on the momentum of that information, that ideology, that philosophy, that approach, and we're gonna take it even further because that's just what we do here at the Bella Italy podcast. We take it further,
We
and
beat dead horses.
we well, I'm on the Catania side of Sicily. We eat
Yeah,
dead
and
horses. This
beat.
is
We
what we
beat and
do.
eat. Yes, yes. And we just lost a lot of horse lovers.
Slow it down, let it breathe. Take the corner, walk with me. No flash, no rush, just taste and see. That's the Italy I need. Bella Italy, stay with me. Pane vino and a slow sunbeam. Bella Italy, vicino a me. I want the life.
And we are back around again, everybody. Brian and Anthony. Anthony and Brian coming at you. How are you doing, sir? It's been a while.
Oh, it's been a long time, Brian. We're fooling everyone. We haven't seen each other live since May in Italy, but we do see each other weekly. But it's been a while since we've been on a podcast, and it's good to see you and excited to get the next season going.
Well, and we are on the cusp. I love this word, cusp, of
You'll milk
season
that for a while.
5.
Yes.
We actually, for those who have been following on social channels, social media, maybe you've seen something. We did put something out to YouTube. It was just some content that had been stirring around. Wasn't like a full blown, episode, but for enthusiasts who want to take a look, you can go to our YouTube and find what we're calling the 10 reasons not to go to Italy. And it was fun because, we're behind the scenes. Okay, so if you're joining us for the first time, first of all, welcome back around to those of you who have been following for some time. This is season 5. If this is your first time, Anthony is the owner and president of Italy with Bella. So you can check us out online anytime, italywithbella.com. And this podcast is fruit of that labor, and it's just a free information resource. We're not trying to sell you anything here, trying to help you have a better vacation. Going to Italy. That's our goal on this podcast. But obviously, what fuels the information here that comes out on this podcast is everything that we do on the business side, where we help bring over families. I'm here in Italy and Anthony's in Nashville, Tennessee, and we help bring American families largely over here to Italy and have a great time. There are some reasons why you should not go. There are some reasons, some wrong motives, and we talked about this. What was your biggest takeaway from the 10 top reasons that we looked at? Right? We're going to talk about checklist in a minute, but this is our first checklist was reasons not to go to Italy.
Well, first I want to hit on is as you talk about that, you'll never hear another Italian podcast say things that we say. I think that's what makes us. No, I think that's what makes us real and Italian, right? In a sense, because we're Italian, and you listen to it's a lot of fluff. Let's go bring on our wine tasting partner. Let's talk about the hills of Tuscany and the beauty and the part. We're going to give it real, right?
Yeah.
And when we say that, believe me, there's 1,000 and thousands of reasons you have to go to Italy.
Yeah.
But, the 10 reasons we gave were reasons, psychological reasons, jealousy reasons, want to keep up with the Joneses. But the biggest thing I think is, you don't go to Italy, you don't go to places in Italy because your cousin did it and your friend did it and you have to go there because they loved it. I think that's the thing I got out of, the FOMO. I guess the FOMO is the big one for me.
Right.
I have to go because my cousin went and I have to do everything my family does. So I think that's the biggest one. The FOMO reason was a fun reason. And I think it was a top reason that we had on our list.
Yeah.
But
And
our podcast is going to definitely be different.
That probably resonates. And I'll pick up on what you were saying about the difference there. We, I remember, I think it was season 2 or season 3, and we started to pit different towns against each other. This is we kind of voted, or we gave certain
It's like
towns
Sienna
a vote, like a
with all the
numeric value.
contradas.
We
Yeah.
we backed the bus up and ran over Pisa again after we had already thrown it under the bus. We did that a couple times, and that's probably not stuff you hear on everybody else's podcast. So we've done a few things like that. I
Mhm.
actually expected a little bit of pushback, and I think people loved that more than the other because they found it helpful. It's the contrast that we created that was so helpful, and so hopefully, even in the opener like we did with this YouTube uh, 10 top 10 reasons not to go, created a little bit of contrast and just help people analyze, okay, I hadn't thought about that. Maybe I'm shortchanging myself. Maybe I'm not getting the best experience that I could get. I want to be careful in season 5 now with the language of getting everything you can out of Italy as if you're just a consumer. I mean,
Mhm.
we're brilliant at consuming. We have made other countries successful, China, at producing products that we consume, and this is what we do. We're great at consumption, but this is not going to set you up for success coming over here to Italy. And I think that's the sacred cow we were tipping over, or pushing the chair out from under the the legs, and now we're just kind of
No, it's
dangling there in
true.
midair.
I mean, they come with this intentions like, "Oh, I wanna be soak it all in," but, mentally, they can't soak it all in because they have the lists, they have the FOMO, they have to do things that are on TikTok. This I'm hitting on everything, right? So, this is the issues that, most Americans have, and sadly, it's true, and we have customers that where we have to push back all the time on the same situation. And I think it enlightens you a little bit, and it makes our podcast is gonna basically have people sit back and think about, "Wow, I really wanna go now, but I
Mm,
wanna go for the right reasons,
yeah.
to see the right things at the right time and the right experiences." So, I think, this is gonna be a little more enlightening, this series that we're gonna do.
Bella Italy.
We're calling this the end of tourism because we really want to go after some of the motivation that goes into it so that we can change a mindset so that when folks come over for the right reasons, the right motivations, to going to the right places for them, not just because cousin Vinny did it. They're coming over for them, and they're going to have a great experience. They're not being a tourist and just a consumer. They're being a traveler, and they're traveling well, and they're really coming away with something that I think you really capture the moment, and you absorb it, and that stays with you. We've talked about this before. No matter
Mhm.
what your itinerary is, how incredible, 5-star Michelin, blah blah blah. It's all the best that you could possibly get, but it's all crap compared to that little conversation that you
Experience.
had with a
Mhm.
a restaurant owner, or just living life, or the funny incidents that happen. Those are the treasures that you really come away with.
I think it's also, and we're going to talk about it, is taking it in. And a lot of times, I was talking about some customers we have on the ground now. They just loaded. They want, and we push back on this. Take it in. You
Mm,
know what I mean? Get the mental, picture in your mind, the memory in your mind, and in our world we live in, it's consumption. You already said that,
mm,
and you will remember those, and you'll be talking about it when you're in your 80s, to
yeah,
your grandkids about when we used to go. And now you're
yeah.
taking the fast train underneath the water that Elon Musk makes, and you're there in an hour. But that's what I imagine.
Channel
We used to have to be
2.0.
on a plane. We used to be on a plane for 8 hours. But so
And
yeah, but I think you're right. I take it
you
all
talked
in. Yeah.
about that with your mom. You were saying the other day, because we grew up watching slideshows when our parents or aunts and uncles would come back from their trips, And you said, we were too poor to have slideshows or cameras. My mom had it all locked away, and she could tell you.
So I didn't know if my
go
mother actually went. I had no idea. If she said she went to Disney, I had no idea she went to Disney.
Without
you. Know what I
you.
mean?
She went without
Exactly.
you. That's why you're
No,
so...
You know what I mean? So we had no slides. We had no cameras. We had nothing, you know? I don't even have pictures of myself as a kid. So, we were poor.
But you know, she did have it locked away, and she can go right back to that moment because she absorbed it. She didn't have the camera in front of her that got in the way as a filter, and you know, not everything really absorbed. You know, she immersed in that experience. That's, you know, I'm not saying we have to throw away our cameras and phones.
Facebook,
I mean, it might help every now and then, but you know, as for our stress levels. But I am saying there's something lost here that I would love in season 5 that we can help people regain.
I go back to, I forget where I was. I might have been in Florence, and there was a Fiat, runs of Fiats, right? And I noticed they had it walled off with a rope or whatever, and they were coming through, not a rope, but like basically the cops and everything. And it had to be 50, 60 Fiats. And all the Americans, they weren't even smiling. They were just worried about how they would position the phone, how they'd look in their phone.
Yeah.
They weren't taking anything in.
Yeah.
But you see the little old Italian ladies, and they're just taking, they had no phones.
Yeah.
They had no, you know what I mean? And it was
they could actually tell you about the event afterwards.
Exactly.
Whereas everyone else who, quote unquote, captured it on their phone or their mobile device, it's like they weren't even present.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's something to capture, whether it's, we call brag book, meaning put it on Facebook and brag about it to your friends so they get FOMO. But yeah, I think, you know, and there's nothing wrong. Once again, I take pictures of my food everywhere I go because I like to go back and remember the food, because I don't remember everything. I eat a lot of food, but I remember, and someone asked me, how was that restaurant? Oh, here's the picture of my, my prosciutto, it's my burrata, it was very good. I remember that. But yeah, now it brings back the memory, but I was also eating it, and I was immersed in what I was eating.
Right.
But, I always say, almost like, it's kind of a metaphor, but eat what you're seeing. If you're at that Fiat event, take it in, you know what I mean? Because that Fiat event, I'll tell you right now, maybe some of the Italians in Florence knew about it, but none of those Americans that were there planned that. And I guarantee those Americans remember that day when that Fiat came through and there was 200 of them, and they were like honking and there was music playing. But they just went to the Duomo. I guarantee they remember the Fiat event more than remember the Duomo.
Right. Right.
So that's what I say.
I want to back up. I mean, like back all the way up to travel in general. And this is a couple of marketing agencies over here have in Italy, Italians have been talking about this now. This is, and because they're seeing the consumption that's happening in their country, and it largely is maybe 1% of Italy that people are consuming, that actually gets seen and heard and felt and tasted and touched and all of this. It's a very small percentage of the country that most people interact with, and they come away thinking that they know Italy and that they've had a great experience. And a lot of times they come back frustrated. It wasn't what they expected. They're disappointed. There were large crowds. They're in that mechanism, the tourism mechanism here. And, there's a tourism mechanism because there are things to see over here that are important to actually see. And we don't want to take away from that, but we do want to talk about how do you travel well in a country that's now waking up to its tourism potential, and you're not getting sucked in and just doing everything because that's what everybody else is doing. So I wanted to take a step back, and we're just going to look at a couple little points here to talk about the history of travel in general. And, if you go all the way back, all the way, we're talking thousands of years, thousands, I won't say how many thousands, I don't know. I wasn't there, but I can say that experts tell us that the first reason to travel was necessity. Human beings in their natural habitat, and they're hunting, gathering, they're traveling out of necessity to, to be able to survive. It's survival.
Even the necessity, even not thousands of years ago, you think about United States, where everyone was on the East Coast, and necessity for land and affordability, they were going out into the wild, going west.
There you go.
You know what I mean? That was necessity to have somewhere to live and afford and to have land and to raise a family, which that was really crazy too back in the day, as you know, lawlessness. But yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it is that survival, and then we began to cultivate, and that cultivation, made us a little more stationary. But that became a new strategy. Traveling became this newer strategy. We could conquer, we could expand, we could explore, just like you're saying, the expansion westward, all of that, and that kind of fed into the next stage of this privileged activity that only the wealthy could afford. Kings and dignitaries, emissaries, sailors, soldiers, missionaries, all of this. It was
Marco
a
Polo.
privileged activity that most people didn't have the budget or the necessity to survive for, and so they stayed where they were. They didn't see. And we still find a lot of Italians here at this stage where
Yes.
I've got cousins in the north that have never been out of their province, and
That's
and
crazy.
I can't ask them about, hey, have you been here? Do you know what this town? Have you been to? No, I've never been there. It's
How about
like
a friend?
30
How about
minutes.
a friend that lived in? How about a friend that lived in Amalfi and never went to Rome? I mean, it's the capital city. It's an hour and a half train ride.
Right.
Never been to Rome. 40-something years old. It's crazy.
Go
ahead. I'm sorry.
To us, that's crazy. To us, that's crazy. But and you're kind of rolling back time here when you come to Italy, and that's part of the fun. Rolling back time and getting out of the rat race and all of that kind of thing. That's part of the allure. But you do have people here that even here in Sicily, I've seen 30 times more of the island than a lot of Sicilians have, because they typically don't travel, or they haven't until very recently.
costs
A lot
too.
of it, it is
Well,
economic.
we did
right?
even from a perspective of our friend. I mean, we hiked, and I'll never forgive you for this. We hiked Mount Etna.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another story. And the friend we were with, he basically went to school, like lived there, and we're doing the hike. I'm like talking to him, like, "Hey, how do you like this?" I mean, he's 48 years old. He's never been on the top of
He'd
Mount
never
Etna.
been. He had never been.
He literally lives 20 minutes away, and it's just crazy to me. But
They
that's a
think,
cost thing,
why
too.
would I go do that? Who in their right mind would go and do that? Or, I mean, for him, getting in a plane that lasts more than an hour ride, why would I do that? I have no real logical reason to want to do that,
And the funny thing about it, and I'm gonna digress a little bit, is these are the things that I love about Italians
Yeah,
and
yeah,
meeting and traveling there, because I'm looking at them like, are you kidding me? And then we go to the restaurant that's on the bottom of Mount Etna. That's basically the refuge they call, right?
Yeah.
We have an amazing meal, and he went to high school with the guy, and the guy and he's never been he never took the funicular up to the top of the mountain. It's just crazy to me. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I digress. I get into these little tangents.
That's exactly what we're talking about. It's a privileged activity. And from that privileged activity evolved, it morphed into elitism, exploration, even education. After the great explorers, Columbus, Marco Polo, just to name two Italians, the Great Tour, the Grand Tour, was cultural. And people would, from England would send their children all over Europe.
Yeah, even like nowadays, it's their kids are studying it abroad. They go to Venice, or Florence or Rome or Milan. American kids are now. It's not elitism, sorry, but it is for cultural reasons and to learn about different cultures. They study abroad, so it's still the same thing in a minor way.
Yeah, I remember 30 years ago, I went into the military. I saw the world just like Uncle Sam promised me. I could never have done that on my budget. But, then slowly over the years coming back and exploring Italy more and more, and then ending up living here. But I would never have thought that. I'd never have, for a lot of people, Europe and European travel is still, wow, that's maybe a once in a lifetime type of thing. I'm sure we have clients all the time. They have this as a once in a life. So, it's becoming more common, it's becoming more feasible, but still we have that golden age mentality. It's
It's a
persistent.
privilege.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
privilege. So, I look at it like my mother, Italian, or maiden name D'Amico, and never been to Italy. Doesn't have a desire to go either. And that's
Wow.
the other thing that surprises me with a lot of Americans.
Mm.
They don't, and it's almost like the Italian mentality. She doesn't have to leave her city. But you'll notice in the younger generation, you'll talk to them. We
Mm.
do a lot of consultations, and then, yeah, this is my 40th country. And once again, check box, check box, check box.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the people that go to Italy that want to, and they yearn, and their tears are rolling on their eyes that we're talking to them, and they dream, that's the only trip they're ever going to go abroad.
Yeah.
But they're an older generation, so that's something we can kind of hit on. The
Right.
generation,
Yeah.
even the generations, by the older, I'm almost 60, even older than me,
Huh.
they don't travel as much. It's not that they can't afford it. It's the desire's not there. They're
Mm.
happy, but when they dream of doing, it's a total different passion and a love and what they're going to get out of it, and that might be the only time they do it.
Yeah. The motivation
Where
is really different.
it's totally different. Yeah.
But just to put a pin right here in this about travel, a lot of it was to change, to bring change
Mhm.
for prevent your extinction. You survive. Change in the terms of economic or exploration
Mhm.
of the possibilities to do for the merchants who explored and all of that conquest. All of that was to bring change. A lot of it is personal change. I remember that quote from St. Augustine that the world is a book. Those who don't travel read only a page. And,
Love it.
even all the way down to Bourdain talked about, hey, look, travel isn't always pretty. It's not always comfortable. It hurts. It breaks your heart, but that's okay. The journey changes you, or at least it should change
Mhm.
you. We get locked in that list, that checklist that I've got to go do and conquer with my iPhone or whatever, capture that golden hour moment. And I haven't lived it. I haven't experienced it. I come back and I'm not changed. I'm just consuming and I'm hungry for the next thing. I have no memory of actually being there, done that. It's not serving me well. And so that's such a rut to have to get out of, that consumerism tourist mentality.
I love Bourdain, and I think sadly missed
Yeah.
because of what he did offer and how you should travel.
Yeah.
Go sit at a local bar, go talk to the local people. He
Mm.
didn't have a plan.
Mm.
Get over here
Yeah.
and just be a local.
And see all
And laugh and cry with the locals. Yeah,
Italy and all of its nasty bits, as he would say,
exactly. Yes.
warts and all. Even the strange underbelly
Yeah.
is worth examining. And you might be thinking, okay, I don't know if this is what I want to sign up for.
Yeah, I was just
So
going to say that too.
what am I really gonna get, or not get? Tell me now. What's the roadmap? What's the road ahead actually look like? And we do this from time to time with the right customer who has an open mind. They come to us saying, "I want this." We go, "Why do you want that?" Well, and here's my reasons. And we go, "Okay, well, those things don't quad. There's something that doesn't square there."
Mhm.
Where your cousin told you to go and do this, but you're really telling me, if I understood you correctly, you're really telling me you want this over here.
Yeah,
And
it's funny when you do a consultation, and I'm a pretty soft guy and I'm a nice guy, but I'm also truthful, and I'm like, but your cousin doesn't like seafood. That's why he doesn't like history, and you love history and you love fresh seafood and you like taking walks. So why do you want to do what your cousin wants to do? You know what I
yeah,
mean? And do you travel like that? You're going for you. You're
yeah,
going,
yeah,
listen to how you travel and what you like to do. But I don't go to Disney World because my cousins and my family go there all the time and they love it. I don't go on cruises for the same reason. They love
yeah,
it. Everyone loves cruises for certain reasons. I don't. But I'm not going to go on a cruise because my cousin likes to go on a cruise. And it's
yeah.
the same thing with Italy.
Yeah, the irony, as you're talking, this comes to mind that the irony of drilling down and finding out what you really want and what would
Yeah.
really make a difference is actually against or counter consumerism. A lot of
Mhm.
consumerism is built on what somebody else tells you that you need. We may change that game for you if you let
Yeah,
us, you know?
it happens quite frequently. So, and give you an example, we have a couple of customers now with the ChatGPT, and they get on, and I'm like, "But ChatGPT told you this." And first of all, I look at it, I'm like, "No, you don't wanna do that. It's a tourist restaurant. It's 11,000 reviews. Obviously, ChatGPT is pulling it from Google and
Yeah.
telling you, you need to go to, Tornorello because you went to another travel agent, and they put a package together, but they just put the package together because they don't know Italy, one, and they're just listening and saying, "Yeah, whatever you want, I'll do for you." So, I guess that's what makes us different. We're gonna be truthful with you and saying, "Well, ChatGPT is not us, and, we want a real experience, but they're giving us all the TikTok places, and they're giving us the ChatGPT
Yeah.
places." And I'm like, "But these ain't real experiences. These are just experiences that everyone else had."
We're gonna examine your checklist, and, if you don't
Exactly.
want your checklist tampered with, maybe this episode or this season is not gonna be friendly.
Skip it.
User may be triggering. We're gonna have to put this is a safe place for people that want their checklist examined.
Exactly.
But, we have to put a little disclaimer. I'll tell you just, as a sidebar, a little anecdote. I was in Caserta, and I went to a pizzeria he's won, I don't know how many awards the last
Pasquale?
couple. Martucci,
Okay.
Francesco
Yeah, yeah.
Martucci, and his brother Sasa
Okay.
Martucci. But anyway, he's won years. These two brothers have won years of, and I told my friend Patrick about it. I said, I sent him pictures. Here I am. I had to make reservations months in advance. I did the whole thing. And he asked me, "Was it the best pizza you've ever had?" And I said, huh, I wasn't bad. But I have to say it may not have been the best I've ever. It was definitely up there, but it may not have
Mhm.
been the best I've ever had. And you have to think about that. What did I go through in
That's a
creating
good
the
point.
checklist and months in
Standing in line.
advance, standing in line, all of that to go and do something that was, it could have been equally as good 2 doors down.
So my buddy, John, my best friend, he's a checklist guy. So I went to France, Portugal, Spain, and Italy last year with him. Obviously, in Italy, I took control of that. And he's like, "All right, we're in Porto." And he's got this list. He had 10 things in one
Hmm,
day.
hmm.
I'm like, "I'll do that." That is boring to me. I'm not climbing a tower to see the view. I forget what it's called, Bell something tower, right? I'm like, a Belham Tower. I think it was called the Belham Tower. I'm like, I am not doing that. I had 3 days, 4 days there, and I did the 4 things I wanted to do in those 4
Yeah.
days, and I was happy as you
You
know what.
enjoyed it.
But he was happy. It wasn't like he
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah, yeah,
happy.
yeah, yeah.
That's him,
Right.
but I was just as happy, even though I missed the 8 things that he did without me.
Look, here's the spin on everything. If you go to Italy and you look at the 99% that nobody else ever sees, you're not keeping up with the Joneses anymore. You are Mr. Jones. You come
Yes.
away seeing something that nobody else has seen, and you're the talk of the town when you get back home because, oh, I've never been to Abruzzo before. Well, what was
Yeah.
there? What was it like? And your imbibed experiences come out, and they're your treasures, and you share that with others. That's a whole other game.
I think it's the most enjoyable part of our job when I can get on a call and someone's like, "I don't want to go to Rome. My friend said this. I don't want to go to Venice." And then I have to explain to them, "Well, your friend doesn't know Venice. He went once
Yeah.
and it smelled. I don't know. Or if Rome was too crowded, people will bother me. Well, where'd they stay? Well, we stood near the Trevi Fountain. All
Yeah.
right." And then they're like, "Well, let's show you a map." And we put the map up. What about this neighborhood over here? They only speak Italian. It's no one around. You won't even know you're in Rome. All right, yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds good. So it's more or less we unpack it, and
Yeah.
we're gonna be able to say, all right, and you're gonna come away loving Rome. You're
Mm.
gonna come away loving
At
Venice
the right time of the
at the
year,
right time, at the
lower
right place, and
crowds,
the right
lower
things to do.
temperatures.
Yeah.
It's not as stressful. And so,
Mm.
we're not going to take everything away we're not going to deconstruct your
Yeah,
your
exactly.
check. We're going to put
No
it back
Vatican.
together.
You're not going to see the
I
Colosseum.
I don't like to deconstruct for the process of I don't know, the objective of demolition. It's to
Yes.
reconstruct something that really resembles something that you want and that you're gonna come away having a great experience. The 99% is waiting for you to come over to see and enjoy. And we're gonna get into the slow Italy, slow food, slow
Mm.
vibe, slow lifestyle, slow tourism. Gonna get into the how to get off of the map sometimes. People come over here and can hide, and you get into a right mindset where you're not just a tourist, you're a traveler, you're gonna come away changed. I think
Mm.
there's just so much potential here for people to come away with some really great mindsets on how to really come over and enjoy Italy, and it may not be the Italy that cousin Vinny saw 15 years ago, but it's gonna be the Italy that you need to see, and that, yeah, I think will be better for it.
Yeah, even cousin Vinny, giving the example of when even Naples is changing. Naples was a place that no one went to.
Mm,
Naples is becoming touristy.
yeah,
Now, you go to the Spanish Quarter, that was a place where no one would go. No,
mm.
Spanish Quarter
Played out.
is touristy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Toledo, Via Toledo, that whole area of it
Mm,
played out. I know the people in Italy are probably happy because they're getting some tourism, but
mm,
it does play out, and these are the things we'll be able to address.
yeah.
What you want to experience when you go to Naples or these other cities.
What happens to the local economy when
Mm.
different places get played out? And, you might go to that TripAdvisor or the Google recommended place with the 10,000 reviews, and like you were saying, you don't see even one other Italian in line because there are no Italians, there are no locals anymore in
Yeah.
that area, and now you're just seeing a facade. It's getting harder to really spot because the cheese keeps moving. This is what some of our guides, I remember Sarah in Naples telling us, "Look, it used to be we'd go Spaccanapoli, we'd go Toledo, we'd go here.
Mhm.
It's so oppressive with the crowds.
Yeah.
I don't even, as a Napolitana, I don't even like to go," she says. And so
Mhm.
I've moved the emphasis over here, and I'm providing incredible experiences. People come away talking about it for years. They want to come back and bring their family members to do that tour, but it's not something you would find on TripAdvisor or this is how to live like a local, how to be there and imbibe the culture as if you were actually from there. And that's a moving target. That's what makes it so fun and challenging at the same time what we do here. And I think why every season matters that we come back
Mhm.
around and address
That's true.
this.
And every time we did, so I was quick anecdotal story. I was in Rome last week, 10 days ago, whatever it was, and I was in and I walked by. I think it was the restaurant we're talking about in Trastevere. And Trastevere used to be amazing. Now it's just overloaded with people. Um, and there was a line, and I heard this couple. You want to wait in line here? And I go to the couple. This is a tourist place. Do you see any Italians? And I could tell they were Americans, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, who are you? I go do this for a living. I said, do yourself a favor. Up the road is, and I never tell people's restaurants. You know this, Bri,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I just felt bad for these people. I mean, they were 50 people deep, and I'm
Mm.
like, it's a restaurant up the road, literally 4 minutes from the crowd. You go up there, there's four tables, there's one local in there,
Mm.
and about a half hour later, we walked up to have our last dinner in Rome. I'm sitting down in there, and they're in there, and they're like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." This is the heart that I have for people. I'm like, you're standing in line and you're reading these reviews. Let
Yeah.
us help you. Let us find the
Yeah.
real thing. And even in that tourist town.
You can't blame a
Mhm.
tourist for being a tourist or a consumer for consuming you because they don't know anybody. They like I do. If I were to go, I don't know, to some country I've never been to before, I would be doing the same thing. You're trying to inform yourself. You're trying to not waste that trip, your time, investment, money, etc., and enjoy. That is the objective. But there are some hurdles to that, especially in a country where the mechanism is starting to get nice and polished
Mhm.
now. But there are gears moving in that mechanism and you can get eat up, and
Yep, yep.
instead of
It'll
you,
grind you.
uh,
It'll grind you
it'll
like
grind
hamburger.
you. So hopefully that's what we help people to avoid. And yeah, of course, we're going to get into itineraries and all those fun things that you've come to know and love for the years that you've followed this Bella Italy podcast. So So excited to be back in the studio with you, man. It's been a while, and excited to take this to the next stage, the next level.
You got it. If you're on Apple, you're on Spotify, or any other podcast platform, please review us. And actually, if you can give us a 5-star review, it'd be great, and it'll pay for my grandkids. And I'm kidding.
No,
Tugging
we're
at the
gonna help.
heartstrings.
We'll help other people find out about us
About
so
that.
that they
Yes,
can go
exactly.
to Italy with Bella
All right,
too.
you're right. All right. No, but also we do have an email, podcast at italywithbella.com. We would love feedback. Brian takes all of that. Mostly it's just my mom and his mom telling us how bad we are. But please reach out to us, some subjects, some content, some ideas, some things you like, some things you don't like. Put it on podcast at italywithbella.com. Questions, we'd love that. That's what we do. But yeah, if you can give us a review, that'd be great. It does help us. And any feedback on podcast at italywithbella.com would be awesome.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming back around as we've taken a summer break here. We're back in the studio now. So look out for the next episode of season 5 coming out very soon.
And don't forget, reach out to us at italywithbella.com for a free consultation with me and my darling wife, Denise. It is free. We'd love to just help you if you're 90% done with your trip and you just want some information and some conversation to guide you a little bit. We're there to help you. If you want to go with us and us plan your trip, we're there to guide you too. So just reach out to us at italywithbella.com for a free consultation.
There you go. Right from the horse's mouth. And now we've circled
better
back
than the other
around
end.
and closed the loop. All right, brother.
All right.
I will see you next
buddy.
time. Ciao a
Ciao, ciao.
tutti. Ciao.
Arrivederci.